Hi everyone, Kirsty, Goddess of Neptune here. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. This is an astrology overview that I'm bringing you today, Saturday, the 1st of April, 2023. So we've gone past Q1 of 2023 already. How, you might be asking, but we know time is an illusion also. Of course, the first quarter of the year has been jam-packed full of energy, and certainly in terms of the planetary movements and the aspects going on, there's been a lot for us to deal with. So we've reached this point now, we're start of Q2, we're in April, and let's see what we've got coming up. I felt particularly guided to do this video today around Lilith and the moon. That's what I was guided towards. So I'm going to pull up the chart and just show you some interesting things that I noticed. So bear with me. And of course, what I'll do after is I will pull up the UK chart so you can look at the transits relating to the UK chart. Bearing in mind, this is just based on, the energy at this moment that I'm recording this video. So take it how it resonates. And what you'll see on the left-hand side there, we have the moon and Lilith both in Leo at the time of this recording. So Leo is, of course, that sign of what I consider to be full expression of the soul's essence. Certainly when you think of the Sun card in tarot, there is that full expression of self, that innocence, because it's that natural soul's unique quality. Now, there is also courage with this as well, because we think of the lion energy that Leo brings also, and this need to be seen, but in a good way. We want to be seen for ourselves, and we want to be seen as ourselves. So having the moon in Leo, there could be some emotions going on relating to being seen, perhaps testing our courage, testing that lion within, that inner lion, and especially because Lilith, also known as Black Moon Lilith, is in the same sign. Now, they're not conjunct in that respect, however, they're both in the same sign. So, to me, intuitively, that felt like that push-pull going on within us, potentially, within our emotions, within our feelings, relating to being our courageous self, being seen as our courageous self, stepping forward into that light of ourselves. Because Lilith can bring up the shadow side. So of course, emotions may have been coming up to challenge that aspect of ourselves, that courage within ourselves, that true soul essence, because of bringing up self-esteem wounds, the darker feminine, darker shadow side aspects. And with the moon, of course, we're wanting to nurture ourselves through this. We've certainly got feminine energy in the chart supporting us with everything going on in Aries and Taurus at the moment. But I was just drawn to the moon and Lilith, aka Black Moon Lilith. So if you're feeling that sort of inner conflict, I guess, within your emotions, because of wanting to step forward into your true expression of self, utilizing the Aries energy of that sovereign power, that warrior strength supporting you as well, but there are still some sort of self-esteem niggles going on, then this could explain why, because of them both being in Leo. Interestingly, what I've also noticed, sorry about that, interestingly, I've also noticed that we have a square between Lilith and South Node. So that is also bringing some challenges when it comes to what is reality and what isn't. So, these self-esteem issues could be coming up to test us, to test that strength within ourselves, and potentially bringing some kind of shadow of illusion to throw us off course, because we're doing so well with our healing journey, we're powering forward, and there could just be some little moments that want to pull us back down into that self-esteem wounds, feeling less than, where really we want to feel more than, we want to feel enough. I am worthy of this, I am worthy of being seen as my true sovereign self. Of course, South Node can also be regarding past life, so this could be past life healing that's being undertaken and emotions coming up around that, because you're healing things from the past life or past lives. And Lilith is just there almost reminding you of these wounds whilst going through that process. Now, I was also drawn to the opposition between Lilith and Pluto. So Pluto, heavy energy of that deep transformation, of course, in Aquarius at the moment, really trying to remind us of everything that we need to release that is not in alignment with our true divine self. And again, with that opposition energy, it's almost like the liberation of that transformation. But Lilith might be saying, hang on, do you really want to transform? Are you really worthy of that? And it's like, yes, we are worthy of it. It's difficult, but we're getting through it. So that could just be what's going on. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the UK chart. So I'm going to stop sharing that one and bring up the UK chart. Okay, so as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. This is based on a particular natal chart and it shows the transits based on that chart. Your chart's going to be different. So again, take it as it resonates. I'm just using this as an example to show you, and it could, of course, resonate with the collective here in the UK. So I've marked up the same aspects on here. So we've got Lilith is actually showing in the first house of the UK. So that's all about the self. The moon is transiting through the second house. So that is to do with worth and values. And it's also where the UK's natal chart moon is. We've got the south node that I was referring to in the fourth house, which is about foundations. And we have got Pluto in the seventh house of relationships. So with that opposition between Lilith and Pluto going on, there is that challenge within self-esteem within the self. So any wounds that might be coming up relating to the self, challenging those aspects of where relationships need to transform. Because there's almost this aspect, and I keep saying aspect, there's almost this element of needing to really recognize that we are worthy of greatness. And if we are in a relationship that is not aligned for us anymore, because we've been evolving, because we've been transforming, and it's no longer in alignment, Lilith might be just almost challenging us with that, because we're needing to transform, because Pluto's calling for that transformation. We know that Uranus is also calling for change in connections within this chart, because Uranus is transiting through the 11th house. And then we've got Lilith there almost throwing a bit of a sort of question mark in there by saying, are you sure you feel worthy enough to change this up? Or should you just stay where you are and not evolve, you know? Because are you really ready to evolve as yourself? And the answer, Lilith, is yes, we are ready to evolve, because we need to move past this. We need to actually evolve past these wounds. Of course, we need to accept them and we need to process them, because if we ignore them, they're just going to come up again. So there is gratitude to Lilith for showing us these things. And then we can accept and we can process and release, transmute, whatever we need to do. Because ultimately, certainly looking at this chart, transformation is needed in relationships. Change is needed in connections with other people. So that's a double message here, that things need to change in our connections with other people. And the moon, of course, transiting through the second house here, is also reminding us that our emotions and our feelings regarding our worth and values is important when we're going through this journey of making those necessary changes, because we need to check in with our intuition, of course. We need to recognize how something makes us feel, and we need to respond accordingly. Why hold on to something that is not serving us? If it's bringing us more pain, isn't it better to change that? So that's where there could be that inner conflict of, yeah, I know that this doesn't feel right. I need to change it. This relationship, this connection needs to change in some way. However, there's that little bit of self-esteem issue that Lilith's just highlighting for me. So do I really feel like I'm in my sovereign power to be able to do this? But look at all the energy, and I said this in a previous report, look at all the energy that's in Aries supporting the sovereign warrior self. And Lilith is there. Okay, the moon is there in Leo as well, in a different house on this chart, of course, but still within Leo. But we've got all that energy in Aries, which is also a fire sign. And relates to the house of the self to empower us to move forward in terms of what is in alignment with our true self and what isn't. And that south node that's there is in the 4th house, transiting through, well, you know, the 4th house of the UK's chart. So that's relating to foundations. So don't be under any illusion when it comes to these false foundations that have been created, because there's a need to break through that. And that's part of the transformation and the change that's being called for, certainly. For the UK's chart, in the 10th house, which is, of course, opposite where the south node is, we've got the north node, but the north node is actually showing in Taurus here, but it's in the same house of the 10th house. And we've got the sun transiting through, as well as the natal chart sun. So that's that soul essence energy, that is Aries energy, going after what we want, taking action towards what we want. So we're just needing to balance that with the emotions and with the little kind of reminders that Lilith might be throwing in, where there have been some wounds, there has been some pain of the past, just reminding us of them to help us, because this is all for us, not against us, but to help us be able to recognize where there's still some things coming up to be cleared, released. And that way we can truly understand what is right for us and what isn't right for us, because otherwise, how are we going to be able to discern what is right and what isn't right? We need to recognize how things make us feel. So the moon is there supporting that energy as well. And there's still that strong feminine energy with Venus being in Taurus. And here we've got Venus transiting through the 11th house, but the UK's natal chart Venus is also there. So within the change that's needed within connections, there is strong feminine energy to support that change. We need to feel empowered on the masculine side to take the action, to be that sovereign self, to be that warrior self, and also utilize the feminine energy to nurture us through this healing journey as we're continuing through. Of course, Mars is now in Cancer, and this is within the 12th house of this particular chart. Again, natal chart Mars is in the 12th house as well. So we've got heavy masculine energy in the 12th house, heavy feminine energy in the 11th house. So when it comes to connections, yeah, and change that's needed, feminine energy to support us through. Masculine energy, there could be hidden wounds coming up. And certainly there's been that feeling previously of Mars needing to almost feel nurtured or look for that nurturing within the sign of Cancer. And that is, of course, the moon's home. But here within the 12th sign, there could be some hidden, deep-rooted subconscious aspects of the masculine that is just coming up to the surface to be healed, to be processed. And recognizing this is all part of the journey, because we're needing to transform out of a place of unhealthy ego into more of that empowered masculine that's going to drive forward and take action in alignment with divinity, with the feminine energy there to support. But this is not the time to get lost in those hidden, subconscious, deep-rooted masculine wounds of ego and pride. This is more about empowerment of the masculine energy to drive change forward, because at the moment, the feminine energy is certainly supporting that change. And we need the masculine energy to balance out with that. So that's just a bit of a quick overview on the astrology today. And of course, at the moment of recording. So whenever you find this video, if it resonates for you, then great. I'm going to pull some cards now as well, just to see what we've got. I'm going to use the Astro deck first of all. So just messages for our highest good as a collective, please. What do we need to know? This deck is always a tricky one to the grip in my hands. So let's see. Okay. Astro deck, what do we have? I would also encourage you to check out where your Lilith is in your own natal chart and what house Lilith is in, because that's going to indicate where you might be experiencing self-esteem wounds or doubt or the more shadow side aspect within the healing journey. Okay, what do we have? Thank you. What do we have for perspective? Wow. Strong message there. Pluto, rebirth. Pluto's all about rebirth and deep transformation. And at the moment, of course, having recently transited into Aquarius, there is certainly that need for transformation, not only within connections, but feeling liberated too within the sign of Aquarius, and recognizing that anything that is not in alignment for us truly needs to be released. There needs to be some evolution to it. There needs to be some transformation. And our healing journey is part of that, because we are naturally transforming with things coming up that need to be healed and processed. There is transformation, because once we go through that, we're not the same as we were at that point beforehand. Natural evolution, natural transformation. But this is deep transformation that can be challenging, because there is that sort of inner resistance sometimes to change. And certainly if we need to let go of things, detach, that can be uncomfortable for some people, because there is almost a fear of letting go. And we have 12th house in reverse. This one showed itself to me before, and I just thought how beautiful, because it's that alignment with the chakras as well, but it's in reverse. So there needs to be that getting back into alignment with oneself, certainly in relation to our chakra system. But 12th house, again, it's Piscean energy, because it's the Pisces house. But introspection, perhaps you've had the introspection because it's in reverse, you've had it. So there's no need for more, because you know what needs to change. There is a need to get into alignment with your true spiritual self. One more. One more, please. Okay. Oh, interesting. 8th house in reverse. And that says mystery on it. Now, the 8th house can be quite symbolic of power, actually. There is this feeling of the unknown. That's just what I'm picking up intuitively from it. So this transformation that's needed, and we've recognized, we know inherently within our spiritual self, within our soul, what needs to transform and what needs to change. But are we telling ourselves that there is still some kind of mystery to this? Or is that an illusion? Or is it really the fact that there's an element of the unknown, and that's what's causing the fear? That's what's causing the resistance to change, because we know what we need to change, but the uncertainty is what's going to happen after that change. And the point is, we're not meant to know. This is all part of the divine process, the journey, as cheesy as that sounds. We're not meant to know. And there can be that aspect of, and I said aspect again, of wanting to control the outcome. And that's where surrender is very important. On the bottom, we have 1st house in reverse as well. So this is about the self, and Virgo underneath that. And I was just saying about being in control. Virgo is the sign that likes to be in control, and certainly relating to, you know, schedules and our daily routines. And if things need to change, we have to come out of a kind of habit, almost what we're used to. But there's always growth in change. If we stay the same, it's stagnant. So it's recognizing that it's okay to not know what the outcome is going to be after change. The important thing is, if you know inherently within what needs to transform, what needs to change, because you know what is truly in divine alignment for you, as in your true soul essence, not through fears or doubts, but your true soul essence. If you know what is right and what is wrong, what needs to transform, then by transforming it, that is, of course, the right path for you. So the outcome is going to be in your favor. Staying stagnant might just mean that there's more lessons that are going to come your way, and you're going to be reminded of the change that needs to happen. So change shouldn't be feared, although it can be uncomfortable, because we often have to detach from what we perceive to be comfortable and move forward. But that's where the growth is, and that's where we embody the true self. So first house, self, arrival. So that's where we can truly arrive into our true self. It's very interesting. So because I was drawn to looking at the moon and Lilith, I'm going to take one from the Queen of the Moon Oracle. Of course, we've got the full moon coming up on the 5th or 6th of April, depending on where you are in the world. For us in the UK, it will be on the morning of the 6th, and it's full moon in Libra. So relationships, anything that's not balanced, not equal, not just, needs to be released for your highest good. There could be some illumination of truth relating to that as well, because we know the full moon illuminates, but it's perfect lunar energy to work with in terms of releasing. Okay, let's see what the Queen of the Moon has for us. Thank you. That's too many. I'm not going to take those. Right, but what we have is we have gratitude in reverse, and we have discernment. So absolutely, discernment is key. So this is all about how you feel about certain things. Use your discernment to understand if it's in alignment with you or not. And with gratitude in reverse, there is a need to express gratitude for the lessons that you've had to go through, for the healing journey, even if it's been challenging. There's always gratitude. I even gave gratitude to Lilith just now, didn't I? Because Lilith is showing us these wounds, showing us where there might still be some little self-esteem issues that need to be released. We need to accept them first and then release. But gratitude for lessons. Gratitude is part of that forgiveness process as well, because we can understand, and as I mentioned about, there's growth through transformation. So even in painful situations, it's not to say you would forget those or that they're right, but it's to say, okay, I'm giving gratitude because I was shown that it's hurt me deeply, and now I know what is no longer in alignment for me because that caused me pain. But thank you very much, because without that experience, I wouldn't have known that. So now I'm going to move forward with that wisdom. And I have gratitude for that, because now I have more wisdom within me to further me on the journey. So it's important to, of course, raise gratitude, but also to have that gratitude and surrender. So I was drawn to that one as well, surrender, because that one kind of fell loosely on the table. And that's what I was saying before about surrendering to the divine. When you release something or you're transforming something and you're a bit fearful of the outcome, it's to not have control of the outcome. It's to say, okay, well, I know this is not for my highest good, so I'm going to release it. I'm going to set the intention to release it because I know it's not in divine alignment for me. And I surrender to divine that the outcome will be as it's meant to be. And that takes the energetic pressure off the situation, because if we hold on to that control, what's the universe going to show us? Our internal condition is reflected back to us in our external reality. So if we're trying to control it, what's going to come back to us? Going to be met with more resistance. Allow it to flow. And finally, I'm just going to take a card or two from the Universal Weight deck. Let's see if we've got any additional tarot messages here to support this today. We do. Wow. Thank you. Oh, wowzers. There is heavy swords energy here. So there is a lot of overthinking. And this could be what's going on with Lilith and the moon, and could be why I was guided to talk about it today, because the moon is obviously about our feelings and our emotions. And when you think of that, it more so as water energy, swords energy is more about overthinking. And we need the logical mind to be able to process, to plan, to strategize, to make sense of things. However, this is overthinking. So I will, of course, show you, first of all, bottom of the deck, death card, Scorpio energy. So this is Pluto. Something needs to end. It's Major Arcana. Something needs to end. And underneath that, Six of Cups, this is holding on to the past. This is emotional fulfillment, but it's nostalgic. It's holding on to the past of what was. Could be a past life soulmate as well, that is not spiritually aligned anymore because it's in reverse. So something needs to end. That cycle needs to end. But we have Eight of Swords, first of all. We have Six of Swords in reverse. We have the Knight of Swords, and then we have Three of Pentacles. Now, could be dealing with a third-party situation, doesn't have to be. This is all about foundations. And I mentioned to you about, for the UK chart, certainly the South Node being in the 4th house of foundations. So don't be under any illusions about foundations that are not true. We need to ensure we have stable foundations, but by doing that, we need to be in our divine integrity, our authentic self. That is a lot of swords energy. So there is fear here, but this is illusory. This is feeling like you're trapped by your thoughts, causing stress and anxiety. She can free herself at any moment. She can walk out of those swords. She's not caged in, but there is that illusion of feeling caged in. And that is what brings that sort of trapped feeling when you consider staying where you are in something that is not right for you. That's the energy that can be caused because there's stagnancy. So Six of Swords is a movement card. It's sailing to calmer shores, but in reverse, it's not moving forward. So by keeping ourselves trapped through overthinking or fear of change, we're not moving forward. And the Knight of Swords, so somebody could be bringing clarity to you on that. It might even be spirit, you know, bringing clarity through meditation. There could be a message of some kind, because knights can be messengers. And the Knight of Swords is the fastest knight in the deck. So this message could be coming in very quick for you. It could be that realization, that clarity coming straight in through your own intuition. There could be some kind of message that's going to bring clarity that this is causing this. And there is a need to collaborate with the right people to build a foundation. The foundation is important because at the moment, there is too much overthinking. So there's too much kind of up in the head. Foundation is more root level. It's Pentacles energy. It's grounded. So yeah, take that as you will. And remember that something does need to end. It's in the hidden energy. So you might not be aware of exactly what it is. But I feel from what we were shown with the 12th house in reverse, that most people probably do understand what needs to be transformed, what needs to be released. It's having that power of surrender to know that if it's not in divine alignment for yourself as your divine soul, it's not aligned with your soul, then it needs to be transformed in some way for your highest good. So I'm sending you love and blessings. I will, of course, be doing a further astrology overview for the full moon in Libra, which is coming up. But until then, take care of you. I'm sending you all the best.